my god, there's so much to process. Like, really, there is a lot to process in The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, which is also a ridiculously long title. This show tells intersecting tales of elves, men, hobbits, dwarves. Sometimes they interact, sometimes they don't, sometimes they fight together, sometimes they don't fight at all, and they're just kind of there traveling. So there's a lot going on. Right off the bat, I felt like this show had some pacing problems. Like, it is really slow at times. Like, the show starts out, like, at least half the season is slow as hell. And like the rest of the season, it kind of picks up, which makes it a little more exciting. But I'll be honest, it was kind of rough getting through those first couple episodes because they were so goddamn slow. And in those first couple episodes, there was a couple of things that kind of confused me a little bit. Like at one point, when an elf kills an orc in a slave pit, it's like all dramatic and there's huge major dramatic music, and another elf is like, oh my god, and he's like all upset over it. And it's like, I understand it's like supposed to be this like big moment because someone just got killed by the enemy, but we don't know who this elf is. At least I don't. I mean, this is the first time I've seen this character, so I don't give a shit that he's dead. And also, orcs get burned in the sun. I mean, in the original Lord of the Rings trilogy, I recall quite a few battles in the sun, and they battled quite well. They weren't really burnt, so, like, over millennia, did they, like, grow a tolerance to the sun or something? Also, for full disclosure, I've never actually read the books, The Lord of the Rings, or The Hobbit, or the appendices. Never read them, so, for all I know, this is actually canon. It's just that to a non-reader, but someone who has seen the movies, it's a little confusing. But other than those two little tidbits and the overall pacing problems, that's kind of the only real issues I had with the show. Like, quite a bit does get established. Like, we'd see the discovery of Mithril. We see the Seeing Stones. We get teases of Sauron and other major characters from the movies and obviously the books. This big mystery throughout the show is that this random dude like fell from the sky and smacked into the earth, and it's like, who the hell is this guy? Well, it's kind of teased that he's Sauron because he has like visions of doom and gloom and fire, and he can kind of control fire. So it's like, this could be Sauron, and the internet thought it was Sauron, and you know what? I thought he was Sauron. Turns out he wasn't Sauron, so that was actually a nice surprise that it wasn't what I expected. Who is he? I don't know. The word wizard was thrown out by some witches. At least I think they were witches. So my guess is he's actually Gandalf, which, all things considered, his attire, how tall he is, that makes sense. Now, the reveal of who actually was Sauron, that was surprising. Bit of a nice little twist. Didn't see that coming. So I applaud Prime and the creators of the show for that. For me, the overall 3 highlights of the show were all actors. It was Morvid Clark as Galadriel, Robert Arameo as Elrond, and Owain Arthur as Durin IV. Now, Galadriel and Elrond, we know those characters. They're from the Lord of the Rings trilogy. We see them in The Hobbit. So we know who they are. They're well-established characters. These are just their younger selves. Durin, no idea who he is, but the guy was fucking awesome. He's a dwarf, heir to the throne of the Dwarven Kingdom, and just the way Owain Arthur portrayed him, I don't know, he was immediately one of my favorite characters. There was another moment that I really thought was kind of awesome. It was the big battle in episode 6, where the orcs used decoys and absolutely tricked the humans, and it was, holy shit, humans are fucking dumb. You know what? We are, let's be completely honest, because that whole thing led to the creation of Mordor, which was a really cool sequence. There was one other thing that I kind of had a slight issue with. It was the big tease of a Balrog. Like, he wakes up, and I feel like that creates a continuity problem because This story is told millennia before The Lord of the Rings. And we're told in at least the movies, could be different in the books, I don't know. We're told in the movies that the Balrog waking up when Gandalf has his big battle with it, that's the first time it's been awake in millennia. So is this a different Balrog? He doesn't go back to sleep? We only really see it once, and it's really quick. At the end of the day, The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, it's cinematically gorgeous. The visuals are amazing. The CGI, which goes into visuals, same thing with the practical effects that we see, are fantastic. The acting is great, especially from Morfydd Clark, Robert Aramayo, Owain Arthur, among others. And, the show turned out to be better than I expected, especially after the way the show started with its very bad pacing problems. Like, I started out hating this show. Well, not really hating, dislike. I think dislike is a better word. I started out disliking the show, but as it went on, I really started to enjoy it. I give The Lord of the Rings, The Rings of Power, Season 1, I give it a B.
Did you enjoy the review? Make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to get notified when more reviews go live. Feel free to leave a comment to discuss your thoughts on the movie or show, and I will see you next time.